hear me in the back okay? Yes. Okay, good. There's way too much free will going on in this room. I'm sorry, we couldn't shut you guys up. Way too much free will. You got to give it to the authorities now. And we know that that's the trap. That's the trap. This session, I'm going to go over two things. I'm going to go over what I learned about the dynamics of managing a Toastmasters club on the officer positions. And then I'm going to walk you through how you can promote your club to get more membership. How many clubs here have less than 20 members in them? Okay, that's about normal. And we'll go through what I've observed. I also want to let you know I'm not going to pull any punches. What I believe is if we actually can identify what the exact issues are we're dealing with, then we can resolve them. If we're not willing to confront and look at what the problem really is, it's very difficult to come up with a solution. Now, have any of you ever felt like all the other Toastmasters clubs in the world are doing great and you're the only one that can't figure out how to run your club? Yeah. Well, just so you know, most clubs around the world are struggling to figure out how to run their clubs. And there's a specific reason for that, which I will address. But what I want to share with you right now to kick this off is I want to share with you what I sorted out with my club in relationship to how the officers work as a team. And one of the problems that I experienced in officer training was that I would come to officer training and the officers would all go into different rooms and they would get trained on how to be the officer and then we'd send them back to the club. Now, what I do in my mind all the time is I really feel that there are fundamental principles that will work in any group or organization. And if we keep those in place, then they win. Now, I use a lot of sporting analogies because I played sports, and I think sports is a great example of how you have a defined playing field, and you have specific positions, and people have to learn teamwork. In businesses and life, it's a little less defined than that. But I looked at it and I said, what if you had a football team? And you put 11 guys into practice and they all went to a different corner of the field and they all practiced and then you threw them in the game and they never played together. What kind of a team would you have? Not a very good one, right? Because you have to learn how to actually work together. You have to learn what the guy next to you is doing. You have to learn how every different position fits into the position next to it. So I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to show you what I figured out about my club. Now, it took me 6 weeks of contemplating the Toastmaster roles, the officer roles in Toastmasters to figure this out. I have other management training I was looking at. I've set up a lot of organizations. I'm scratching my head going, okay, I got these, what is it, 7 officer positions, I think it is, 6 officer positions? Seven officer positions. I got these 7 officer positions. Let me see how they work together. So we're going to do a live demo up here. Do we have anybody that's training for Sergeant at Arms? They're all in the back. I need a volunteer. Who wants to volunteer? Right? I got a lady right here. Come on up. What's your name? Judy Coleman. All right. Now, Judy's a Sergeant at Arms. Now, you're going to stand right here. Now, Judy, what basically is your responsibility as Sergeant at Arms?
Make sure the meeting is organized before you guys walk in, and then when you guys leave, it's the place we found it even better. That's one thing I can think of.
Okay, that's good. That's good. She sets the meeting up, right? She sets the location up for the meeting. Now, how hard would it be to have a Toastmasters meeting if you didn't have the room set up and a place to meet? It would be hard, right? I started at a new club and we came to the office and it was locked one time. We're setting out in the street. It was hard to have the meeting. We actually had the meeting on the street. We had steps there and we set it up and people stood on the steps and we just made it go right. But look how important this person's position is because they actually set it up so you can have the meeting. So that's a very important role. Now, just a quick question. When I go out and speak in public, who has to make sure the room's set up properly?
You do.
I do. And everybody see me moving things around up here, checking the mic, getting stuff set up? How did I learn how to do that? By doing that position. So a lot of people that I've talked to have thought like, oh, Sergeant at Arms, it's like this, janitor's position. It's one of the most important jobs you can learn how to do to be successful as a leader. Okay, now, so we have the meeting set up, and that's what, Judy?
Yeah.
That's what Judy represents. She represents the room set up. That's her position. Okay, now we have to get some guests to arrive at the meeting. We have to get some people there. Who's responsible for getting guests to come?
Everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's what we're looking at. And I asked that a specific way. Normally what I get is everybody goes, everybody's responsible for guests. I go, great. How many people have someone named everybody in their club? Who does it if everybody's supposed to do it? Hoping somebody will, right? It's the Body Brothers. Right? Everybody, nobody, somebody. That's who comes in here. Okay, so the Vice President of Public Relations is responsible for guests. And that took me a while to figure out. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail on that in just a few minutes. But if you do the typical training with Vice President of Public Relations, and I'll be honest, I haven't read it in the last couple of years, but it was talking about putting press releases out and articles and stuff like that. I live in Los Angeles. Try to get an article in the LA Times. Right? The purpose of that was try to let the people know that this club exists in this room, so they come in. So we have any Vice Presidents of Public Relations? Right here. So will you come up and volunteer? Yeah. You raise your hand, you're in it. Shanine, stand right here. Okay, now Shanine's responsibility is to run programs, and I'm going to give you a lot of programs you can run in a few minutes, to get guests to the meeting. That's all you do. You just get guests there. When the guests come, your job's done. Okay? Are you okay on that?
Got it.
Now, so what happens is guests show up, they come to the meeting. Once they experience the meeting, now in my club we always ask them to stand up at the end and tell us what they thought of the meeting. That's all. Just tell us what you thought. And they always stand up and go, well, this was different than what I expected. This is a fun group. I wouldn't mind joining. Who do they talk to? Vice President of Membership. She's getting the money. She's going, treasurer. I like her. Give me the money. Give me the money and I'll tell you who you can talk to. We have any Vice President of Memberships? Okay, if you want to come up, that was the first hand I saw. Yeah, come on up. Come on over here, Marion. You're on this side. Because they already came to the meeting, right? So you're standing right here, right next to Judy there. No, she's not going to take your money. Okay, so what happens? Shanine?
Shanine.
I'm getting this. Okay, Shanine gets the guests to come to Judy. They have a good meeting experience, and then they want to sign up, so they come to the Vice President of Membership. Now, I have some bad news for you. In the entire Toastmasters program, the most difficult thing there is to do is fill out the membership form.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the dollars and cents are that go on the back of that form? I have people running around my club. Somebody wants to sign up. They got their checkbook out. They're ready to write their check, and they're running around going, how much is this? We're not sure. So here's what I recommend you do. Fill out a membership form, or 2 or 3 for each month. Have them already filled out. So the guest comes up, you go, just sign there. You don't have to think. Okay? But you sign them up as a member. Right? And so we're gonna show how the Vice President of Public Relations and the Vice President of Membership work together as a team to build the membership in your club. Now, if you don't have any guests coming to the meeting, it's hard to get new members, right? When you sit there and you get this frustration, we need new members, so you wrinkle your brow and hope they show up. That's never worked for me. As you can see, I've tried it a lot. Now, once the Vice President of Membership gets the form filled out, who's the next person on the list that the member has to see, or the next officer that would come into play? Treasurer. We have a treasurer. Right over here in the corner. So the membership form comes over here, and what are you going to do?
Get the money.
Get their money. Show me the money, right? And then what you're going to wait, what you typically do is you wait about 3 months until you have several things you can send in at once and send in. Right? You ever seen a club that did that? Oh, I've been waiting for 3 or 4 members to show up, so I just used one stamp. So you're going to basically make sure that money's banked and the application or whatever gets off to TI. Now here it gets a little fuzzy. Hey, does the secretary send it? Does the treasurer send it? Does VP membership send it? You guys have to decide who's actually going to interface with Toastmasters International and get that in. Okay? But the point is, the next person on the chain here, Vice President of Membership, you get the money. Now, just a quick hat on the treasurer's position. This is one of the easiest positions in the Toastmasters office. With the exception of 2 months, September and March. And my recommendation, having been treasurer, is you start September 1st with, now you can do email. I used to have to do paper invoices out to everybody. I had a spreadsheet. I was checking people off. I was calling them once a week. I was checking where's their money, and there's a certain percentage of the population that will never, ever pay you until the last day.
Right.
So, the last day for dues in September is September 30th. On October 1st, the club folds and fails and turns into dust if your check is not in. Right?
Not really. But they should know that.
With the membership, the last day for dues is September 30th. Now, we know it's October 10th, but we don't tell everybody that because there's a certain percent of population that will not pay until the last day. So I don't want the real last day. I want the pressure on them on the last day I choose, which is the end of the month, which makes perfect sense to me. Same thing with March 31st. That's the last day. I'm on the phone with the president, with the vice president of education going, we love you, we want you in the club, I want you to get your checkbook out, I want to hear the perforations tearing in the phone. Okay, we need your check. We're going to love you to death, but we want the check now. We need to get it. There's a certain people you have to put that much pressure on. Other than that, you can kick back, drink lattes the rest of the time, send the check into TI. Got it. Yeah.
Their members also know the grace period, and they will utilize it. And that will,
Yeah,
how do
30
we
days.
encourage them?
She says there's members that know the grace period and they'll utilize it. You hypnotize them. Okay? Yeah, they know. The point I'm making here is I always just say it's got to be in at the end of the month and we push for the end of the month. There's some people that may do that. Well, you have a lot of two-way communication that's happening, but the point is you keep the pressure on people. People just typically don't cough up their money. Now, from my standpoint, as soon as I get the invoice, I'm going to be in Toastmasters, just pay my dues. It makes the treasurer's job, but so much easier. I've been treasurer. I know what it's like trying to get the money out of everybody. You know, and they should just pay your dues automatically. It's the best deal in town. You know, I mean, I belong to Rotary, and my Rotary dues, I spend $3,000 a year belonging to my Rotary Club. By the time I pay for the lunches and everything I've got to do, Toastmasters is an inexpensive program, and anybody complains about the dues in Toastmasters, go get a life. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to pull any punches. Okay, once the member pays their check, who do they see next? Vice President of Education. Do we have any VPEs? Right here. First hand up. All right, now when the member has paid and they come to you, a new member, what are you going to do with them?
I am going to explain the process of the competent communicator as well as the competent leadership manuals, and find their goals and work with them and find a mentor.
Good. Very good. Here's a couple of things I recommend. But you see, I'm a little ruthless in this. Because I knew what it took, and I'm going to share with you what it took to make my club really hum. And it takes people doing the program. So when that person comes, I'm going to say, let's pick a date that you're going to complete this manual. And does anybody know what the percentage of people that actually complete their CC is?
30%?
I don't think it's even 30. It's about like 8%. Last year in Orlando, they announced they made 12,000 CCs in Toastmasters last year, and there's 300,000 people in Toastmasters. Now that's 4% at that rate. It's dismally low. My club has about a 94% CC completion rate.
Wow.
And one of the reasons is when they join the club, we say, this is the program. You do all 10 speeches. Let's pick a date you're going to complete those speeches by. Now, this is June 15th, right? If you were signing up a member today, what day would you have them complete their CC by?
June 30.
June. God bless you. June 30th is next year. I'm going to give you a year. Can we do it in a year? You do 10 speeches in a year. The person go, yeah, that's cool. You see, you get their agreement now, and then you go, I'm going to schedule you to make sure you get that done. But I want your agreement. You're going to complete the CC. Now, what happens with a lot of people in Toastmasters, they get about halfway through the program. One of two things happens. They get a little win on handling some stage fright, and they just feel like they're doing okay. The other thing is they get frustrated because they're running out of speech topics, and they're starting to hit the little wall of effort, and they back off from it and walk out of the program. And it's an injustice not to get them through their CC. I've done 22 of them, because I do one a year. Why? Because I'm in Toastmasters. And the Toastmasters program means you complete a speaking level for me every year. That's what you do. If you're in Toastmasters, do a speaking level a year. Do the program. I get benefit from it every year I do it. My club gets credit for it every year I do it. And I also want to set an example to everybody. As a world champion, I still do the Toastmasters program. That's why I basically do that. Who here has completed a CC? Did any of you have a win on your 10th speech? A win. Did you have a win? Feel successful at your 10th speech? Like, wow, I accomplished something? Yeah. Before that, were you sort of like struggling and 10 speeches seemed like a lot of speeches and you never thought you'd get to the end of your CC and you finished it and all of a sudden you went, yes! I am a competent communicator! Right? You had this spandex suit they give you with CC throughout the world. So it's important that we actually get that member to commit to complete that manual and that we keep a certain amount of pressure and scheduling on them to get them through it because they will come up with reasons that they don't want to do that. Okay? And so that's one of the things I recommend is really try to get that end date. That gives you prediction now as the Vice President of Education on how many educational completions you can get. Now once that happens, he's going to monitor the member through their program, making sure the schedule's there and everything like that. Now, with all this activity going on, you got guests coming in, and you got the meeting starting on time, you got new members coming in, and you got money, and you've got the meeting happening. Who's keeping track of all that stuff?
Secretary.
Secretary. Do we have any secretaries here? Way in the back.
Oh my
Way in the back. Well, they're all taking notes in the back of the room, right? Well, you can come down. I'm going to have someone come up. I'm just going to pick somebody up here. Would you come up and be a secretary? What's your name? Olga. Come on up here. So Olga's here, and as a secretary, she's basically going to keep track of what's happening. Who shows up for the meetings, who got the best speaker, who spoke, who did table topics, right? And we just created forms we fill out for everybody, and then we have a book that they're in. You also handle a lot of the communication with Toastmasters International. But again, what I'm looking at is really the management of the club, not how to interface with Toastmasters International. As far as I'm concerned, you can pick who the best person to do the communication with the TI is. Okay? But on the management of the club, have you ever been to a meeting where somebody brings up a topic that they just discussed at the last meeting? Yes. Right? And you go, well, why wasn't it here? Well, that's why you have a secretary to keep the minutes. At the end of the year, you want to know who had the best attendance, how many people were the best evaluator the most number of times, who got best table topics, who was the most improved speaker, so you can give awards out. And because you keep a record, it keeps the club from going psychotic. Right? A psychotic person doesn't know what happened 2 minutes ago. Right? So if your club can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, your club's crazy. It's psychotic. Who wants to belong to a psychotic club? So you're responsible for club sanity. Pretty cool, huh? Now, if this is a member, here's how this works. This is the guest that comes in. The guest comes in, comes to the meeting, pass the bottle. He comes to the meeting, has a great experience, goes to the VP of membership, signs up for membership, they give him the check. Ching. All right. They get scheduled for the meetings, everything gets recorded. Now, out here, the member comes and they go, wow, this is the most incredible experience I've ever had in my life. And they go out and tell the world, my life is changing because of Toastmasters. And what happens when they tell the world, my life is changing because of Toastmasters? What occurs? New guests come to the meeting. Right? Welcome. And they come to the meeting, they have an incredible experience, and they get signed up, and they get the money in, and they get scheduled, and they get recorded, right? Yes. Right, so that's how the flow works between everybody. Now, who's missing?
President.
members?
Right here.
Right here, right in the front row. I'm going to give you a completely different job description for the president. The president's job description is to ensure that each and every one of these members wins at their job. Have you ever had a Toastmaster position you got frustrated with because it didn't work out and you couldn't wait for the period to end and you could throw your hands up in the air and walk away from it?
Yes.
You're to ensure that that doesn't happen. So you have two primary functions that you do. Number one is you help these people. And you ask them if they need help. You back them up. Do you have all the answers yourself? So you have another thing you have to do when you get stuck. When you don't know what to do as president, you raise your hand and you ask for help. And if you do that as an executive, if you help the people below you and get help when you need it, you're going to be successful as an executive. And the problem I've seen in Toastmasters is that people assume the presidency and they think, oh, I'm supposed to have all the answers in my head. And the reason we put you in the presidency, the reason we put you in these officer positions is because you are basically incompetent. And the reason the way Toastmasters works is we take the most incompetent people and put them in a leadership position and allow them to figure it out for themselves. Right? Okay? So as the president, you want to make sure these people win. Now what happens if they don't win, they get frustrated, and they quit doing their job? And who gets their job?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You have to do their job. So it's really important that you stay in good communication and help them and back them up and see that they're getting over their personal barriers and their frustrations and all those things, and they're winning at their Toastmasters job. Now here's the secret in this. Remember I was talking about wax on, wax off? Yeah. Leadership skills? Each one of these positions gives you a specific set of leadership skills that will serve you outside of Toastmasters. When you've done all those positions, you have filled out the wheel of leadership. You are now qualified to run the United States of America. Well, let's actually get a real challenge on our hands. You're actually qualified to run your life at this point. You're qualified to go out and make a difference. Why? Because you can attract people and have interest. You can set up an organization, know how it functions. You can sign up people to work with you. You can organize and get production out of people. You can take care of the money. You can keep care of the records. You can help people, and you yourself can receive help. And that's what it takes to be a successful leader. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Now that makes sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's not hard. But one of the things that happens, and I know this because I used to pick up these Toastmaster manuals and read them, and there's all this significance that I'm trying to read. Oh my gosh, I'm the Vice President of Education. Well, the Vice President of Education, for example, I just measure them on how many educational completions did they actually get done. We're running a graph. I have a graph, and every time we complete one, they post the graph for the year. What's your score? That's the simplicity of it. You know, Vice President membership, how many guests you got coming? Or Vice President of Public Relations, how many guests? Vice President of memberships, how many members? It's just a really simple thing to do, and you just focus from that standpoint. Now, I'm going to share with you what I put together on how to market and promote a Toastmasters club. And this is, I think, one of the bigger problems that I've seen in Toastmasters, because most of the clubs are struggling below 20 members. And because of that, there's some specific dynamics I've looked at. As I said, I'm not going to pull any punches here. I'm going to try to be as straightforward and honest as I can and show you what I came up with. And how this came about, I actually had a district governor, who's a very close friend of mine in Florida, call me and said that they're having a problem getting some of their clubs built. Well, I put a program together and come down and deliver it for them. I have a lot of marketing background in other industries, and I've also run my Toastmasters club. I know what works. I sat down and looked at, let's really look at this Toastmasters activity. Like I said, this is a communication and education learning program. It's like we have a school. I would even compare it to like an exercise class, where we come in and we exercise our muscles, except we exercise our leadership and our communication muscles versus exercising our physical muscles. But if we had a program where you're exercising your physical muscles, you would want to do it on a regular basis. You would want to see that people were getting specific gain out of that program. And you'd usually have some sort of a beginning or an end to it from that standpoint. Now let's just imagine for a second that we had a yoga class, okay? And it met in this room on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9. How would you let people know it was here? how we would do that. And oh, by the way, whenever I say anything really important, the audience tells me that they hear chimes sometimes. I don't hear it. But if you hear like a chime or a musical tone, I said something really important right there. Make sure I point that out whenever it happens. Here's the situation I looked at. Toastmasters offers training in essential leadership and communication skills at a very low cost. These skills greatly enhance personal success, which is needed especially in difficult economic times. Yet most Toastmasters clubs lack the necessary membership to create an effective and productive Toastmasters experience. Now, what I mean by an effective and productive Toastmasters experience is it is difficult to really perfect your speaking skills when you're talking to an audience of 4 people. Right? It's hard to really get your leadership skills honed in when you have like 6 people in your club you're trying to coordinate with. That's more like a family dinner. And so when you have a larger club, a larger mass, you have a whole different dynamic that happens. And so it's difficult to really get the benefit of Toastmasters if you don't have enough critical mass of bodies there to work with. Observations I've made. Most Toastmasters clubs lose 30 to 40% of their membership each year. That's Toastmasters International has 300,000 people in it. We have 100,000 people that leave this organization every year. That's 33%. That's what turns over. Okay, so your club is going to mimic that. What does that mean? That means that members need to replace, or your club can die in 2 to 3 years. So if you have 20 members, you have to get 6 or 7 that year just to stay at that one level. That's just the dynamic of what we're dealing with. In each Toastmasters district, a large percentage of clubs struggle with membership below 20 members. Every district I go to, more than half the clubs are below 20 members. So it's a situation in Toastmasters. Like I said, you're not the only ones. Everybody's trying to figure out how to do this. Most Toastmasters clubs do not proactively promote their club, promote and market their club. What I mean by that is they rely on passive promotional actions like someone searching for them online and finding them, or word-of-mouth activities of the members where they're not really proactively going out and promoting their club. Most Toastmasters clubs do not know how to effectively promote and market their club. I said it. You know how I know they don't know how to promote, how they don't know how to effectively promote and market their club? Because they don't. If they did, you guys would go promote, you guys would go do it like that. And as I said, this is largely due to no fault of their own. That's the good news. That's why I make that a second line. If you don't know how to do it, everybody goes, ugh. Don't worry, it's no fault of your own. Why isn't it any fault of your own? Promotion and marketing is a specialized skill in most organizations. I know that because I've marketed everything from Nestle and Anheuser-Busch down to small businesses. Most Toastmasters who are Vice President of Public Relations or VP membership have little to no promotional marketing experience. So we throw you into a job you've never done before. Toastmasters program is designed by learn by doing. Right? So what do you have? You got 6 to 12 months, you get thrown into a position, you don't know how to do it, you got 6 to 12 months to figure it out. As soon as you just start getting an inkling of how it's supposed to work, you take you off the position and put somebody who doesn't know how to do it back in that position.
Exactly.
Is that true?
Yes.
Right. So, and I'll go into this in my Building a Championship Club because one of the things I had to look at in the dynamics of the Toastmasters organization, we are an organization designed to fail. What do? We constantly take the incompetent people and put them in leadership roles. And what do we get? Incompetent leadership. Back in the 60s, there was this old country song that said, I work my fingers to the bone. And what do I get? Bony fingers. Okay. Officer training does not adequately or effectively train officers in how to promote and market their club. How do I know that? They don't effectively promote and market their clubs. Because if you guys were trained, you'd do it in a second. This results in ineffective or no promotional activities and low membership. Number 5, the amount, frequency, and variety of promotional activity needed to grow and sustain a club is typically underestimated. I've seen a lot of clubs say, okay, we're going to have a membership program. We're going to sit around in August and hold hands and visualize new members. Right? We got to get some new members in here. Okay, good. Well, I'll ask some friends. That's like the amount of effort you put out to promote your club. So we're going to talk into different ways, the amount, frequency, and variety of activities you can do. The last observation, Toastmasters organizationally does not have an effective outlet or mechanism to distribute the benefits of its program to the non-Toastmasters public. Now here's what I looked at. In any organization, when you produce something, you market that to the people outside of your organization. If we're building Chevrolets, we have an assembly line, and at this end of that assembly line come a bunch of raw materials. And we work it down the assembly line and we refine those materials into an exchangeable product that is of value to people. We now have a dealership network that we send the new cars out to, and we sell them to people who need that service, right? In Toastmasters, you get to the end of the assembly line, you go back to the beginning, and you go through the assembly line again. There's no broadcast network to take our leadership and communication skills out to the public. You guys agree with that?
Right.
Right. Now, one of the things I think Toastmasters needs is they need an effective speakers bureau that could be managed on a district level, but I think it should actually be managed at TI, where every district has its area, but you can become an approved speaker in the district, in the Speakers Bureau, and you can be categorized by geography or subject or whatever, and people know you go to Toastmasters to find your speakers. That's where you go. But you can do this on a club basis, you can do this on a district basis if you want to. I've helped a lot of Speakers Bureaus get started in different districts. But the truth of the matter is, if we went out and spoke to the public about the skills we learned in Toastmasters, every group we spoke to, we'd get people coming into Toastmasters to learn those skills. That's what would happen. And I know that because I speak all the time, and I always have people come up to me when I'm speaking in non-Toastmasters events. I promote myself as a Toastmaster, and they go, you know, I really need to do that. Is there a club you recommend? And what typically happens too, I belong to the Los Angeles Rotary Club, and the LA Rotary Club is sort of an anomaly in Rotary, because most Rotary clubs are about 30 people. We're 350. It's a huge club. And everybody knows me as a world champion speaker. Whenever I get up to speak, I always have to make my mark on the club. And I had a lady that called me after she got up to make an announcement and choked. It wasn't that bad, but to her it was horrible. There's 200 people at our lunch. So you have to stand up and just give an announcement. There's 200 people out there. It's a big thing. She called me right after that and she said, oh, that was horrible. I need to join a Toastmasters club. She only knows that because I'm in Toastmasters and I speak about Toastmasters and I promote myself as a Toastmaster. Okay, so that's the last observation. Now the purpose of this whole thing is to actually create more members so that we can have better experiences, we can help more people. Okay, that's really what the purpose is. I think everybody here would like to help people, right? If the entire world had Toastmaster skills, I think we'd agree we would have a better world. See, I would like to see a Toastmasters club in Congress. I would like to see the Democrats have to evaluate the Republicans. I would like to see the Republicans have to evaluate the Democrats. And they'd have to help them say their message better. Right? They'd have to have meetings where they actually change positions all the time. But the truth of the matter is, if we really learn to communicate with each other, and we get the pride and the self-esteem that comes from standing up and realizing I can actually get the thoughts out of my head. I'm actually worth something. I am worthy to stand up and be heard, which is really one of the things I'm going to talk about this morning. We get slapped down by authority so much through our life, we start to think we're not worthy to be heard. And we see that in Toastmasters all the time. Somebody stands up and they have this purpose and this drive inside of them to make this difference in the world, but they're afraid to say it. And what we do is we change the world one person at a time. And if you have a Toastmasters club and you're not reaching out and finding those people that are struggling in their life, you are the most selfish individuals in the world because you're not sharing this incredible experience with people that are dying to get it. To me, there's no reason in the world we should not have, just large, booming, incredible Toastmasters clubs because everybody needs this skill. But part of the problem is we're building this world with incompetent people, myself included. You come in, you don't know what you're doing. You know, I was compared to an exercise class. Like I go to a boot camp, and I have professional trainers that run my boot camp. I pay a lot more to go to a boot camp than I do to go to Toastmasters. Okay, but I show up in the morning for an hour, and I get my little butt exercised off for that hour, you know? Now in Toastmasters, if we had a boot camp or an exercise program, this is how it would work. We take a bunch of overweight, out-of-shape people and put them in a room. And we give them a manual. Say, read the manual. And I say, well, there's this thing called push-up. You get down and do it, and I'll evaluate you. Right? It says, okay, you're supposed to go down, now you're supposed to come back up. Come on, come back up. Well, the thing is, we don't have professional trainers, so we're dealing with this whole component of we have to sort of get a hold of our own bootstraps and figure out what we want to create and figure it out for ourselves. But that's the beauty of the program. Because when you actually start figuring out for yourself and taking ownership for your own success and your ownership for the success of that club, you start taking ownership for other aspects of your life. You start thinking on your own and you start to realize what your abilities and your capabilities are in life, and you stand up and you start making a difference. And that's needed for so many people, and I've seen hundreds of people come through Toastmasters and watch their lives change completely, as all of us have. I mean, I've had people come to my club that couldn't get a job for 6 months, and they did table topics once as a guest, and went out on a job interview the next week and came back and joined the club because they got a job because they did table topics once. It's incredible. We all have experiences like that we've seen come true. So the first action of building membership is a dynamic club experience. Bottom line, if you went to a new restaurant and the food was bad, the service was poor, and the dishes were dirty, would you go back? No. If you don't have a dynamic club experience, how are you going to get people to come into your club? Even if you only have 6 people in your club, you need to create a dynamic vision for what you're doing. Come on in, we're building this club, and this is what it's going to be like, and this is what we want to create here. I want you to be part of helping us build this club up. So that is the first thing that's going to build your club. If you can't attract good people, as I said, if you don't have a good club experience. And I've been to a ton of Toastmasters clubs, and like I said, one of the problems with our organization, as many benefits, is we accept anybody.
Mike went out. Mike.
You sure it's not your hearing aid? Is the mic out back there?
Yes.
Do you have a battery or not? Where's Ivy? Ivy? Ivory, excuse me, Ivory. While we're doing that, I'm going to try to talk. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I can do this for a few minutes, and then you're going to find my vocal cords on the back wall back there. Okay, so the first thing is a dynamic club experience. I will be going into how to create that in the next hour. The next action, dynamic club experience consists of this: a good venue. Tell you stories about venues. Now, I don't think you should have meetings in an open dining room at Denny's. Okay? I think it needs to be a place that the person can stand up and they feel secure, but at the same token, it needs to have enough room for expansion, not be too big. But I've seen Toastmaster meetings, you couldn't fit anybody else in the meeting. How many guests do you think they got?
None.
None. There's no room for them. There's a goldfish bowl mentality that happens. You know, you put a goldfish in a bowl, it only grows as big as the bowl. The other thing is I've seen venues that you couldn't find. When I was practicing my speaking for the competitions, I went to a Toastmasters club that met in a church, and I walked in, I went up in the sanctuary, and there was nobody there. It was in the evening, it was sort of dark. I'm looking around, there's no lights on. I know they're here. I walk downstairs, I look down a hall, and I see a light coming out a hallway down. The hall's dark. I walk down there, I'm a little afraid I'm going to trip on a mop bucket or something. I can't really see where I'm going. I look down the corner, and I see another door down there, and I hear some voices. So I walk down there, and I go in the room, and they go, "Oh, there he is." And I look around this room, and it's got a card table, you know, like one of those 6-foot tables. It's got about 8 chairs around it. There's some choir robes hanging up here. There's some Christmas ornaments over here. Like a 100-volt light bulb hanging from the ceiling. I didn't feel like I was in a dynamic communication and leadership program. I felt like I was planning a clandestine revolution to take over the world. I don't want anybody to find me down here. So we need a good venue. We need a place that will attract people, and there are so many benefits to having a Toastmasters club meet in your organization if you have a dynamic Toastmasters club. Because you get that organization gets that leadership. Is that on now? Whoops. Yeah. Is that on now? Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Lovely tender. Okay, so basically, you need a good venue. Guests are welcomed and recognized right up front. Okay? So you are excited. The good clubs I go to, there's signage out there. They're out in the hall. When a guest comes in, they're greeting you. Sign in here. We're glad to have you. The bad clubs I go to, the guest comes in, sits down, and people are looking around going, who's that? And you know why they're asking who's that? Because they haven't been to a meeting for 6 weeks, and I think it's a member. It's a fun, friendly atmosphere. It's upbeat. You know? It's got a lot of energy in it. You feel enthused. You feel better leaving the meeting than you did coming to the meeting. Meeting start, run and end on time. I'll get more into that. That's critical to the success. Good clubs, the meeting start, run and end on time. Bad clubs are all over the board. Speeches are completed per the Toastmasters manual. You don't just have people standing up and talking. And this is an education program, and Toastmasters works by completing the manual projects. You're in school. This is a Toastmasters University. You stay with the curriculum. You evaluate per the curriculum, which is the next one. The excellent speech evaluation completed per the Toastmasters manual. Do the program. Each speech tells you how to evaluate it. You just go down the list. Did the speaker show adequate preparation? Did they have a clear opening? Was the body of their speech organized with clean transitions? You know, you just go down. Yes, yes, yes. Give the feedback that's in the manual, and you'll stay right on the track of improvement for Toastmasters. Second action to having new membership are winning members. I'm going to delve into this a lot more, but does it make sense if your members are enthusiastic and winning by their experience that you're going to bring in more members? And when people come visit your club, what do they see in your club? Winning people who are enthusiastic about the program. So if you have a bunch of people that haven't completed a speaking level or a leadership level in 6 years, sitting there giving nattery, critical evaluations because they're the smartest people in the world, what are you laughing at? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Those people are out there. They sit there and they found the place that they can tell other people what to do. They're not interested in their own they're not interested in their own development. They finally found someone that they can be the boss. And I got to tell you, the number of clubs I spoke at in my years of preparing for the international competitions, and the number of people that gave me absolutely insane speaking advice will blow your mind away. But by golly, they're going to tell you what you need to do. They can't speak or lead their way out of anything, but they're going to tell you what you need to do. Right? So the thing is, we want that culture where and they're going to be there. Like I say, God bless them. God bless them. They found a place they found a home. Okay, officer positions. Vice President of Public Relations, as we said, is responsible for guests. The Vice President of Membership is responsible for members. These two need to be cousins. They need to work together really, really closely. Okay? And they need to come up, and it's a lot of fun to work together from that standpoint. But if the VP of Public Relations is not getting the guests to come, the Vice President of Membership has a huge problem because they can't get the membership up. So it's important that they really work together. Marketing 101. Trial versus repeat. Now, I'll let you know, when I was working with, actually it was Nestle, it was Carnation, back when Nestle was acquiring Carnation. Carnation's got a pet food division. I was on the Friskies dry cat food brand. When we went to the #1 dry cat food in the nation above Purina Cat Chow. I'll sign autographs at the break. But a big thing we did was constantly getting people to try our product. We constantly had promotional activities, little bags that come in the mail, things like that, to try to get people to try your product. You ever go to the grocery store and they're handing out little samples of food, you know, or little, you know, ice cream or dishes, you know? You guys got Trader Joe's here. Trader Joe's has a kitchen set up that every time you go in, I go by there and eat lunch every day. They're out of LA. They're all over LA. So I swing in there. What's for lunch today? And the guy gives me a veggie burger and some tofu or something. I don't know. But the point is, what we need to do is we need to create opportunities for people to try Toastmasters. To try it. Just taste it. Who didn't know what Toastmasters was before you came to the organization? I didn't. No? So what we want to do is just create situations where they try it. Taste it. So here's some promotional actions. We're going to do that. First thing is I want to say, I'm not going to get into this a lot, but this is an electronic age. You need some sort of, you need to be found online. I don't think you need a huge, gigantic website, but people need to find you online and make it very easy for them to call and see how they can come to your meeting. Okay? I get a lot of calls to the Toastmasters International website when they search by the zip code. We have a really nice website on my with my club, but I think if you just have a good, clean homepage and some pictures of people having fun, and say basically we love people, we're a safe, fun environment for people to find their voice and learn leadership skills. Come by and see us and find out for yourself. That's about what you need, but you have to have that presence. Yeah, you can have social media. On the email, I recommend creating an email list with every guest who comes, and you keep them on the list. Let them unsubscribe if they don't want to be on the list. And I'll tell you why. About a year ago, we had a lady come to my club, and as the guests come in, we asked them to stand up and tell us, how did you find out about the club? And she said, I was here about 12 years ago. I've been getting your emails. And that was the reaction of my club. I never heard everyone. 12 years ago. She says, yes, I've been busy. But now that my kids are out of school, I want to do this. Do you realize that her kids grew up? She was always wanting to join Toastmasters, but she was busy raising her family. Now that kids were out of school, she wanted to come join Toastmasters. She'd been getting our emails. So put that email list together. Somebody comes, put them on the list. They don't want to be on the list, let them unsubscribe. It's no problem. Just put them on the list. Okay, card or flyer distribution. This is something that I very seldom see. But let's just look at Toastmasters. If we were like an exercise class or a copy shop or a copy center, you promote that service around the geographic area you're in, right? Well, if we come up, like I have these cards, I'll tell you about, but these are 4x6 cards I have made up. If you just put these cards, you got a couple thousand of those made, and once a month, you just pass them out to all the businesses around your club. Every Toastmasters club services the geographic areas. And they go, Wednesday night, there's this communication and leadership program. You can come over to it. And you just let everybody know you're there. Now, based on that type of promotion, people don't come in the first time the card goes out. But after it goes out 5, 6, 7 times, they're going to know you're still there. What will happen, they're going to have to stand up and say their name sometime, they're going to choke. Because you're promoting one of the biggest fears in the world, is public speaking. It's like free bungee jumping. No, I don't think so. But what happens is you let people know that you're meeting there on a regular basis. Now, what if you have a Jewel food store right down the street from you? Who at Jewel needs to get a Toastmaster skills?
Everybody.
Manager.
The manager. Now, give me specifics. Say everybody. But cashier. A lot of interaction. Who else?
Service manager.
Service manager. Who else?
Produce managers.
Produce manager.
The deli managers.
Right. Who else? Customer service. Who else?
Customers.
What?
Customers.
Customers. Right. Who else? I'm looking for a specific person in the store. Stock boy. Why does the stock boy need Toastmaster skills?
He interacts with the customer.
Huh? He doesn't want to be a stock boy the rest of his life. Hey, I got to tell you something. He can't go to college. He's working as a stock boy. You come to Toastmasters, you learn to run a meeting and speak in public, you can rule the world. You look what the President of the United States does. He runs a meeting and he speaks in public. It changes his life. If that stock boy came and joined Toastmasters. It changed our lives. So when you think about who needs it, sometimes it's the people that don't have any other way to expand their life that need Toastmasters the most, and they can get a tremendous amount out of it. So look at passing out cards. Now, I do two things. I do a geographic area, and then pass them out to your friends on a regular basis. Hey, here's a card on our Toastmasters. But it gives you something to pass out to people so that you can actively, continually promote your Toastmasters. But I think every club should take responsibility for a geographic area around them and promote that. If you're a corporate club, you've got your corporate market that you have to promote to, but put a card on people's desk. The second or third action is special meetings and speakers. Remember, we want to get people to try Toastmasters. I call this, we're going to sell the sizzle. Don't come join for a lifetime like me. You know, my club, I've done 22 icebreakers. They have so much dirt on me, I can't leave the club. But I want to give you some ideas that you can have a special meeting. Now, if you had a special meeting every other month and promoted it, come here, we have this special thing going on, one time only. You need to put some urgency on it to get people to come to the meeting. Let's look at what we could do. Meeting types. Effective networking skills. We're going to be working on effective networking skills this meeting. People can come, work on that skill, get to see what it's like. How to introduce a speaker and lectern etiquette. That's something that every organization I'm in does not know how to introduce a speaker or the effective etiquette on how to bring people up to the lectern. PowerPoint presentations. Fastest way to death there is on the planet right now. The elevator pitch. How to prepare a speech. People don't know opening, body, and conclusion. 3 points in the body. They don't know that. You can give them real quick training on that in one day. These are just things I came up with. Thinking on your feet. Impromptu speaking. We're going to be working on how to think on your feet. Have people come to a meeting just for that one skill. Show a video of the World Championship. That's something that people don't know what that is. We're going to be showing the video. It's safe. They're going to watch a video, and they see that, and they come in and talk to you. They come to your club and experience it. Club speech contest. I can't believe how many people come to our speech contest. They heard there was a contest, they came to the speech contest. I mean, to me, I go, okay, the contests are okay. I sort of like the other meetings. But we get all sorts of people show up for a club speech contest. Each one of those is some special meeting. You can just get people to come in and try the meeting during the meeting time. Now here's the next action, are special guest speakers. So you're bringing people in. Who should come in? You've got all your contest winners. Every time somebody wins the district contest in District 30, they should be invited to all the clubs to come out and tell how to do humor or table topics, evaluation, or international. Okay? And then you get to create a special meeting for them. Accredited speakers. You've got accredited speakers in this district. Bring them around to your meetings. They'd love to help. There's a lot of people that are great speakers in the district. World champion speakers. I do a lot of club events, but they have to put a special event on. They have to promote it. They have to create an event for me to come out there and do that. There's a lot of other things you can do. The idea is start thinking here about picking this ball up and creating some excitement in a meeting. My club had 2 world champions come to it in the 90s and do special presentations and things. We invited all the Toastmasters in the area to come to it. They were really big events that we put on. That was one of the things that was helping to build the club. Number 4, events and parties outside the club. This was a big surprise to me because we start probably like you. Do you like the other members of your club?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my best friends, right? So we'd have a Halloween party. Halloween's coming. We'd have a Halloween party. And we'd invite our friends to the Halloween party. And I'm walking around the Halloween party in a Stay Puft Marshmallow costume. And somebody's going, how do you know Judy or something? And I said, well, I'm in the Toastmasters Club. She goes, you're like the 6th person I've met from this Toastmasters thing. Right? And then we play some table topics, have some fun. What do? They get to know the people. The next meeting, we'd always have 5 or 6 guests come from the party we had. So let's just look at when you can have parties. Let's just start. 4th of July, Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Super Bowl, St. Patrick's Day, Kentucky Derby, Memorial Day. Look, you have a wine and cheese evening every other month at somebody's house. Go to Trader Joe's, get some 2-buck chuck, and some cheese. You can practice speaking after drinking. But here's the point. Everybody knows what wine and cheese is. They don't know what Toastmasters is. They'll come for the wine and cheese, and you share with them Toastmasters. A very easy thing. Every other month, you had a wine and cheese party at somebody's house. Wednesday night, I don't care. Just invite your friends over to the wine and cheese, play a little table topics, do a speech. invite them to the meeting. I guarantee you get 6 to 12 new members a year. Club officer installations, I can't believe the number of people that come to our installation. It's the most boring meeting of the year. And we have people show up, we have a big brunch. They come up because I think they know they're not going to have to speak. The next one are speechcraft trainings. We used to do 3 to 4 speechcraft trainings a year. We'd always get 2 to 3 members off of our speechcraft trainings. Those are 6-week programs. People don't want, people have a fear of public speaking. They don't want to join a club for life, but they want to come in and do a program where they can win. What we always had them do is get their last speech in front of our club. And if they joined, their speechcraft dues paid their club dues. So there was an incentive to join. But they were so proud that they'd stand up and give their last speech in front of the club. The last thing we have is speaking outside to outside groups. I'm just going to touch on this very briefly. If you go out and speak to Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Optimus Club, Sir Optimus, the Moose Lodge, Chamber of Commerce, and talk about how to put a speech together, talk about lectern etiquette, do your basic Toastmasters training, or go out and talk about something that you specialize in, but promote yourself as a Toastmaster, you will get all sorts of people coming in. That's not something that every Toastmaster wants to do, though, but you probably have a few members in your club or in your district that are interested to go out to those clubs and speak. It's a great way to start getting on get a lot of contacts and start to develop your own personal speaking careers, to go out to the service groups. They need someone to speak every single week. They're always looking for programs. And a Toastmasters program, who here could do a 20-minute talk about how Toastmasters works? Yeah. It's like giving an icebreaker. You know this subject like the back of your hand. You play some table topics with the audience, get them to come up and answer some questions. They'd have a blast. And then you just say, well, our club meets at this point. If you want to come to it, develop your speaking skills. You'd probably get people wanting to come in right away. So, let's see what else I had on here. Speaking outside groups, I'm not going to dig into that. I want to take a break here in just a second. So here's the 6 areas I broke out. Website and social media with active email promoting on a regular basis. Cards and flyers, so you have something to promote your club to the geographic area and to friends and family, co-workers. Many of you maybe don't want your family in the club. Special meetings and speakers. If every other month you had a special meeting, sort of an open house meeting on some special topic that you were creating, and you invited people to your club for this one-time meeting only. And then the opposite months, you had a wine and cheese party, or you had a Halloween party, or whatever you had. You had a Super Bowl party. Every other month you had that. So every month you have some special activity that's going on. You're constantly reaching out and inviting people to fun things to do. Run a speechcraft twice a year, special training. Look at going out and speaking to groups. Do you guys think if you did that, you'd get new members?
Yeah.
Okay? And this is a very good way to proactively go out there, but you have to be willing to stand up and talk about what you do and have confidence in what you do. Know people can come to your club and they're going to benefit from that experience. That's why that dynamic club experience is the most important aspect to starting this whole membership building. But I wouldn't say, well, we can't get members in until my club becomes dynamic. Just have a meeting at your club and say, okay, from now on we're going to be dynamic. Right? So shape up. Everybody be dynamic and let's get some new members in here. I'll tell you what, it's 11 o'clock. Let's take 10 minutes. And I'm going to come back and do Building a Championship Club. Okay? So 10-minute break.